I think it's pretty safe to say that this is probably the most corrupt Treasury Department in our nation's history. And while you dance around questions to protect Trump, Americans are suffering in Trump's spiraling economy. Inflation is now rising faster than average hourly wages.
Chaos erupted on Capitol Hill as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent walked straight into a legal buzzsaw. Representative Linda Sánchez dropped a rock-solid Supreme Court precedent that Bessent desperately feared, completely dismantling his defense strategy. Sánchez didn't just corner him, she openly labeled this Treasury operation as one of the most corrupt in American history.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary, nice to have you back before our committee. Mr. Secretary, do you believe that all Americans should follow our tax laws?
Yes, Congressman.
Yes, good. So do I. And do you believe that for those Americans who break our tax laws, they should be audited or held accountable?
Well, I think there are two things there. An audit is not a result of breaking the law.
Yes or no? Simple question.
Well, no, it's not a simple question. It's
okay, then let me break it into two. Do you think they should?
If you're asking me,
please don't
should every
interrupt
taxpayer
me.
be audited?
Please answer that. I came here for answers. If you came here to waste time, I'm going to try to make sure you don't do that. Do you believe that people who lie on their tax returns should be audited?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that people who break our laws should be held accountable, our tax laws?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Very simple. Not a hard question. I'm glad we agree. So why is it that you are allowing President Trump to have complete immunity from being audited?
Again, I'm going to have to refer you to my previous statements. And
what was your previous statement, sir?
That I am unable to comment on any of the ongoing litigation.
Okay, can you name the ongoing case concerning President Trump's immunity from audit?
Sorry?
Can you name?
There are 3 cases.
Can you name them, please?
That are out there now, and I will be happy to get back to you on those, because again, I am not a lawyer.
Okay.
We are represented by the DOJ.
Great. You said that you can't because there's ongoing litigation. You'll get me the name of the ongoing litigation, because the only ongoing litigation that I know of is surrounding the $1.8 million slush fund, which has already been suspended. The fact is that the judge's ruling in the litigation that references that slush fund only addresses the anti-weaponization fund. It doesn't even address Trump's immunity from audit. So I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record the judge's order in the Floyd versus Department of Justice case.
Without objection.
Thank you. Now, Secretary, you said you're not an attorney. Is that correct?
Mercifully.
Okay, well, I am, and I'm actually proud to be an attorney and know the laws, and I know how to read a judicial ruling. Furthermore, I know that since 1962, the Supreme Court has held that ongoing litigation does not prevent someone from testifying in a congressional hearing. So once again, I'm going to ask, why are you allowing President Trump and his family to have complete immunity from being audited?
Again, since you're a lawyer, you will understand that the U.S. Treasury and the IRS are represented by the Justice Department and the Acting Attorney General.
Yes, but I just mentioned a Supreme Court case that doesn't bar you from testifying. It's pretty clear to me, though, however, that you're not interested in answering questions. You're interested in arguing. Let me ask you this question. If President Biden amended a prior tax return and claimed that he was owed $1 billion, do you think that that would be audited, or should it be audited?
I'm not going to talk about any.
Because you're not really here to answer questions. I don't understand why you wouldn't audit that, and I don't understand why you wouldn't do the same for President Trump. So the ruling, by the Justice Department,
do you have specific knowledge of an audit of President Trump?
Excuse me. It's my time. You're not here to ask me questions. I'm here to ask you questions, and hopefully you're here to try to answer some of them. I'm curious to know who counts as Trump's family for the purposes of this immunity. Is it his children, his in-laws, his grandchildren, his second or third cousin, his great-great-grandchildren? Do you know the answer to that question, Mr. Secretary?
Again, I imagine you have the Justice Department phone number. I would suggest you call them.
I'm not the one that runs the Department of the Treasury or that oversees what is happening with this immunity has been granted.
I'm not the one either. We follow the instructions of our lawyers, and we obey the law,
I
Representative.
hope that you're proud of your performance today, Mr. Secretary, because
I hope you get some social media
I think it's pretty
clips.
safe to say that this is probably the most corrupt Treasury Department in our nation's history. And while you dance around questions to protect Trump, Americans are suffering in Trump's spiraling economy. Inflation is now rising faster than average hourly wages. Gas prices are at an all-time high with the war in Iran. The cost of groceries has risen 3.2% over the past years, and prices on most goods have gone up because of Trump's tariffs. So I don't see how you could call that anything other than a failure of the most corrupt Treasury Department in history.
Your time has expired, Ms. Sanchez.
Thank you. My time has expired.
Secretary, I would love for you to respond to the accusations at your department.
Chairman, thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. Last year, one of President Trump's first actions was to put his billionaire donor, Elon Musk, in charge of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. By the end of Musk's short but destructive tenure, DOGE had nearly quadrupled its original budget, lost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars in estimated interest and fee revenue, and paid 200,000 federal employees roughly $22 billion to stop working. DOGE was a massive failure. It turns out moving fast and breaking things and having no clue what the heck you're doing is not the most efficient way to govern. Unfortunately, DOGE's destruction wasn't limited to wasting taxpayer dollars and gutting the federal service. DOGE staffers also abused their position to gain access to taxpayers' sensitive private data. Mr. Secretary, on January 31st, 2025, you personally granted DOGE access to one of the Treasury Department's payment systems at the Bureau of the Fiscal Service. This database houses Americans' most sensitive data, including Social Security numbers and bank account information. Shortly after, my colleagues and I requested the GAO review DOGE's unprecedented access to this critical payment system. GAO completed that report last month, and I asked for unanimous consent to insert it in the record.
Without objection.
Thank you. GAO's audit determined that a DOGE employee was inadvertently granted temporary access to create, modify, and delete data from the payment system. Mr. Secretary, you failed to impose basic safeguards that left millions of Americans' personal data vulnerable to unauthorized access and abuse. And so my question for you is, do you take responsibility for that? And what specific measures, if any, have you taken afterwards to protect the affected individual's data and rebuild confidence in your department's handling of sensitive information?
Again, would you care to look up what does inadvertent mean?
Have you taken, but you're in charge. You are responsible for this. Do you take responsibility for that? Do you take responsibility?
I will take responsibility.
Okay, and then
and again,
what has been done to make sure that can never happen again?
Congresswoman, it was read-only. They had no ability to edit.
What has happened to make sure that never happens again?
We have, just as we have at the IRS, we have tightened up all protocols on systems.
I guess that's not very specific, but the GAO also found that a DOGE staffer sent an unencrypted file containing USAID payment information and individuals' names to external DOGE personnel at the General Services Administration. Soon after, it was reported no disciplinary action was taken, despite the employee's failure to protect federal and non-federal employees' sensitive personal data and comply with security requirements. So again, Mr. Secretary, when employees who violate IT security rules are not held accountable, what does that message send to agents? Why don't you hold someone accountable?
Why are you bringing up USAID with me?
Because a DOGE staffer, GAO found that a DOGE had payment information. Payment information.
USAID, I do not oversee. I wear many hats in this administration. Not one.
And this is a file containing payment information Are you not in charge also of the Treasury?
That has USAID. That has nothing to do with us.
But payment information has nothing to do with it.
Again, it was not sourced at the Treasury. Why are you bringing this up with me?
So GAO provided 6 recommendations to address identified weaknesses, including ensuring staff agree to comply with IT security rules and configuring systems to detect and prevent the transmission of unencrypted payment data. The report states that the fiscal service, again, the fiscal service, part of your agency agreed that 3 of the recommendations, or agreed with 3 of the recommendations and did not state whether it agreed or disagreed with the other 3. So, Mr. Secretary, can you confirm Treasury's position? This is part of your purview, that Treasury's position on all 6 recommendations. And if you agree that they're warranted, please let us know. And if you disagree with the recommendations, please explain why.
Again, I don't have a copy of the recommendations in front of me. Your office did not share them in advance. We'd be happy to get back to you. That we would obviously agree with the ones where we've already agreed.
So I hope that you understand that these are findings from the GAO about ensuring that information is protected. And again, we have seen access to taxpayer information leaks. What are you doing to address this? And are you taking responsibility? People don't have faith that access has been given against the law.
Well, again, President Trump and his family and employees of the Trump Organization, 400,000 people, had their tax returns stolen at the IRS.
You are in charge. What are you doing to prevent that?
And
Americans' people's sensitive information has been leaked outside.
Ms. Bennett, your time has expired.
We have tightened the protocols. We have tightened access.
And you've said nothing specific of what you've done to
Ms.
ensure.
Bennett, your time has expired. Mr. Estes is recognized.
Good to see you, Congresswoman.
So frustrating.
What was supposed to be a routine budget hearing turned into a masterclass in accountability. For weeks, the Treasury Department thought they could dodge questions regarding highly controversial IRS audit policies and special deals, shielding top officials. But Linda Sánchez had other plans, as Bessent tried to deflect, cite ongoing guidance, and dance around the legalities. Sánchez pinned him down to the floor. By the time she was done, Bessent's face said it all. He knew he was trapped. The heat turned up the second Sánchez pressed Bessent on whether certain high-profile political figures were being granted permanent immunity from future IRS audits. Bessent attempted his usual play, deferring to the Justice Department and claiming his hands were tied by administrative boundaries. But that is exactly where he miscalculated. Sánchez pulled out the ultimate trump card, a definitive Supreme Court ruling that establishes Congress's absolute constitutional right to oversight and explicitly limits the executive branch from hiding behind internal tax agreements. Bessent's defense immediately crumbled. He was caught between a rock and a hard place. Either acknowledge the Supreme Court law and admit accountability, or double down and face legal obstruction charges. He chose to lash out, accusing Sánchez of blowing hot air. But the damage was already done. Sánchez exposed a massive gap in the Treasury's transparency, proving that no administrative deal can override federal law and congressional authority. This wasn't just a political argument. It was a total legal destruction that will force the Treasury Department to answer the questions they have been running from for months. In this video, we break down exactly how this explosive showdown completely changed the game for executive accountability in Washington. Don't blink, because this exchange went completely off the rails.